The Giants got steamrolled in week 8 of the 2025 season. The defense couldn't stop anything, the offense couldn't get a rhythm, and the whole team just looked out of touch. Let's break it down on this episode. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another epi of Bet the Over. I'm your host, Kevbo, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about the dismantling of the Giants. The 49ers absolutely smashed them on Sunday. I know the score looked a little bit closer. The final score was 24-34. However, besides the first drive of the first possessions the Giants had, the 49ers dominated this game on special teams, defense, and offense. So let's get into it. So to start, let's go into the first drive of the game. Obviously, the Giants looked really good. Theo Johnson had that toe tap, not toe tap, but like walking the tightrope up the sideline touchdown. And I was thinking to myself, this might be a good game. We might get a little fireworks. Dart started out hot. Honestly, both quarterbacks were pretty efficient throughout the game. I know like Mac Jones was also like 10 for 10 at some point. Dart was, I think, was 9 for 10. So it was a pretty efficient day from both the quarterbacks. But after that first drive, it really just the Giants couldn't get anything going. Um, Overall, this game from Dart, he's still played pretty well. He tends to hold the ball a little bit too long. That's one real knock I have on him. There was one play where Andrew Thomas didn't really get beat, but he pushed his defensive end, the Niners defensive end, around the corner, and then Andrew Thomas kind of ran away because he thought the rep was over, but Dart was just standing in the pocket waiting for someone to get open, and he got sacked, so that was kind of his fault. But I think it's more of just the Giants wide receiver room is just terrible. I know Slayton's back. He hasn't done anything particularly well, and the Giants just gave him a pretty good contract, I think 2 years ago at this point now. I know he's getting like 12 mil a year, making $36,000, and he still can't catch the ball. He's like year 8 of the NFL or year 6 maybe. Um, that looks like a really bad signing. I know he's a pretty good player, but he's always had drops. Wandale, I mean, he can get open, but he's pretty limited. He gets a lot of receptions, but you can't really be relying on a 5'9" wide receiver to be a number one on the team, and they can't get anything consistently going. Their rushing attack wasn't very good. I'll pull up a couple stats here. So I know this past game, Dart actually led the team in rushing. That's pretty good. That your quarterback's rushing, the leading rusher on the team. Dart had 56 yards. He averaged seven yards per carry. And listen, I obviously love that Dart can run and he's mobile. I obviously don't want him to continue to run into people with his head. He's got to start sliding. He's too important to the team. If he goes down, then this team will really, really be bad. But the other two running backs, Singletary and Tracy, they really didn't do much. I mean, they had pretty efficient numbers. Like Singletary had 5.4 yards per carry, which is pretty good. Tracy, pretty bad, 3.6 yards per carry. Singletary had 8 rushes for 43 yards. Tracy had 5 rushes for 18 yards. They just couldn't get anything going. Their offensive line hasn't been horrendous this year, which is kind of surprising because we all know in years prior they had a bottom half of the league, like probably 28 to 32 offensive line ranking. This year they're like middle of the pack. However, it doesn't seem to matter because their offense is still pretty inconsistent. I mean, what can you do when Wandale's your wide receiver one? They've had a lot of injuries, like obviously Malik. You got Scattaboo. Defensively, their corners are beat up, but getting into the defense, like man, they cannot stop the run. They can't do it. Um, does anyone know where Dexter Lawrence is? He's the I think third highest paid player on the team. Let me look it up. He is currently he has the highest guaranteed salary on the team. He's base salary. He's making $15.5 million a year, and he's done nothing this entire season. I don't know if it's an injury. I don't know what's going on. Dexter Lawrence really needs to step it up. Carl Banks called him out last week. Maybe he thought it would light a fire under his ass, get him to go do something. But man, he has been bad. The other defensive tackles, I mean, they have Nunez Roches. Um, they signed Alexander, the rookie Darius Alexander. He hasn't been a factor really. Their defensive ends are pretty good at pass rushing the passer, but they cannot stop the run. They really can't. McCaffrey ran crazy on them. Let me pull up his stats. McCaffrey, I think, had like a buck 50. He had 106 yards. He averaged 3.8 per carry, and he got a touchdown. The 49ers just dominated this game. They really did. Offensively, Mac Jones was like perfect through two quarters. And it's not their starting quarterback, it's backup Mac Jones, who has played well. I'll give him credit. The 49ers just looked like the better team. They're definitely better coached for sure, offensively and defensively. I mean, I don't know how McCaffrey's getting wide open on a wheel route out out back. I don't know who was supposed to be covering him. It might have been Okereke. I saw he got picked, but even still, like, McCaffrey's your number one weapon. They don't even have Ayuk. They were missing Pearsall. Jawan Jennings was there. He scored a touchdown, but they're missing like two of their top wide receivers, and they still are just picking apart the defense. I know they're missing a couple corners and stuff, but man, it's the new year, same. The Giants are just terrible. And it's always an excuse every year. Last year it was Daniel Jones. 2 years ago, it was no wide receivers. 3 years ago, it was no corners. I just think it might be time to really fire everyone, clear house, and start over. I've been seeing a lot of reports that Dable's definitely on the way out. I don't know if it's like 100%. They could obviously keep him, but I feel like the media inside Giants headquarters is leaning towards Dable leaving, and then Shane's kind of up in the air. I don't know what you would do with Shane because he's really polarizing. Dable looks like he's going to be fired by the end of the season. Shane Bowen's got to go. He is horrible. I mean, absolutely horrible. I don't even know, with the talent you have on that defensive line, how you can't stop the run is just incredible, because Dexter Lawrence should be doing it. He's been an all-pro defensive tackle for the past 4 years, and this year he's completely irrelevant to anything that's going on the field. Uh both the corners are beat up, both the signings, but man, I think it's time for a reset button again. Unfortunately, even though we have a very promising player in Dart and he does look like the real deal, I was skeptical of the Dart pick at first. I'm not even going to lie, but Dart has looked really, really good. And that is something to give us hope for the future. But I don't know if this coaching staff's going to be around much longer. They'll probably both be fired by the end of the season, and then the GM will probably go along with them. Um, and then, honestly, towards the end of the year, we'll probably be reviewing upcoming coaches. Comment down below who you think the next coach should be. I know a lot of people, I've been seeing like Gruden, Brian Flores. I've seen offensive coordinator. People want McDaniels off Miami because he's looking like he's going to get fired as well. Defensive coordinator, they need someone, man. Oh my God, they just need anyone that can motivate the team, because their defense theoretically should be fantastic. However, they have not performed whatsoever. Even the special teams, Graham Gano's got to get kicked off this team, bro. I don't know what they got to do, but they got to get him off the team, because when he's not injured from kicking, he literally has injured himself multiple times warming up. He misses kicks. Abdul Carter gets an interception or a fumble. I think they ruled it a fumble, but Brian Burns hits him. Mac Jones' ball pops in the air. Abdul Carter gets the ball. I think they're on the 40-yard line, and they come away. They're down 10 points. They come away with that possession. They get 0 first downs, and they kick a 40-yard field goal, and they miss it. And that was a huge momentum swing right before half. if you could have scored any sort of points, they would have been in the game in the third quarter probably. But as soon as that happened, I knew this game was over. Like, you can't good teams would find a way to get some sort of points on the board. Really good teams would score. You take the Chiefs, you take the Eagles, you take um like the Chargers, even though the Chargers aren't doing that good. You take a good team and you put them in that position and they'll find a way to score points and most of the time score a touchdown. However, the Giants, as we all know, are a terrible team. They're horribly coached. Nobody seems like they know what's going on. I think I think it's starting to get to the time where Mara's just gotta. I hope he prayers up for Mara. I obviously hope he gets through his treatment and everything, but it's getting to the point where you just got to sell the team. Like, go enjoy your life. You won a couple Super Bowls. You did a lot of great things, but it's got to be the owner at this point because they've gone through what 6 head coaches in the past decade, and none of them have stayed around for more than 4 years. Like, it's gotta be Mara. There's gotta be something going on. I truly think they're gonna clear house again, start fresh, and then the trade deadline came around. With the way the team's playing, I thought they'd be sellers at the deadline. They're in last place in the NFC East. They're 2-6. They have not much going for them besides quarterback. Um, However, they didn't do anything. Dexter Lawrence is still here. Kayvon Thibodeau, I heard reports he was up in the air. He's staying. They probably could have got something like Quentin Williams went from the Jets. They got a first round. If they got rid of Dexter Lawrence, they probably could have got a second or first rounder. I mean, you obviously consider it like considering he's not contributing to the team whatsoever. He's honestly been the biggest disappointment of the team so far. They didn't sign a wide receiver. They didn't even try and help Dart. You could have got Shaheed for a third round pick. I think that's what Seattle offered. Um, Shout out to the Jets. I mean, they really, I know they're rebuilding again for the Jets are always rebuilding at this point, but to get the value they got, I think it's totally worth it. Like, yeah, Sauce is a great player. He's obviously like a top 5 corner, although he hasn't been doing so well lately, but he's a top 5 corner, still young. But to get 2 first round picks for him is crazy value. And then Quentin Williams going to the Cowboys. They got Mozzie Smith in return. He's okay. And then they got a first round pick on top of it. That's a nice way to restart a rebuild. Really generate some draft capital. And it's like, if the Jets are going to need a quarterback, you might as well get the firepower to trade up because you're going to need to do it eventually because Fields is definitely not the answer. Um, but overall, it's sad. It's just the same thing again this year. Sorry, Giants fans. I know I wish I could report something fun and exciting, but there's really nothing exciting about this team. It's just sad that it's the same thing this year. Um, at least we have a quarterback. Like, that's the silver lining in all this. But yeah, this next week might be brutal. The Bears are just absolutely cooking teams. The Giants have given up 30 plus points the past 3 weeks. Um, their defense is about to get lit up. Uh, and yeah, that's really all I got to say for this episode. Comment down below who you think the next head coach of the Giants should be, if you think Dable should stay and Shane should stay and run it back one more year. Um, Comment what the final score you think of the Bears game is going to be. I think it's going to be pretty high scoring. I think the Bears are going to score 28 and the Giants will put up 20. I think they'll keep it a little bit closer than the Niners. And yeah, everyone like, comment, subscribe, follow for more episodes like this. And remember, bet the over.